Okay, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are decoding Law 3 of the 48 Laws of Power. Conceal your intentions. Now, we are moving way past that playground idea of just keeping a secret. This is really about mastering the strategic illusion of information asymmetry. It's this highly sophisticated tool that plays directly on the mechanics of human behavior and psychology. Because, honestly, it's not just about what you hide, it's all about what you deliberately choose to show. So imagine the ultimate strategic vulnerability for a second. What happens when literally everyone knows your exact next move? Well, your observers, your rivals, your competitors, they can easily block, manipulate, or tax your path before you even take your very first step. I mean, think about it. If you broadcast to the entire world that you are absolutely desperate to buy a specific piece of property, guess what? The price miraculously doubles overnight. The earlier your intention is known, the earlier the resistance forms against it. In a highly competitive environment, transparency just strips away your leverage. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the danger of predictability, the psychology of misdirection, the two-layer execution system, how to actually defend against concealed intent, and finally, we'll wrap up with mastering plausible ambiguity. Let's jump right in. Starting off with Section 1, the danger of predictability. Let's expose why being an open book is incredibly dangerous when the stakes are high. The dynamic we're looking at is actually super straightforward. A visible intention makes you completely predictable, and predictability instantly makes you controllable. Think of a chess game. If your opponent knows exactly which piece you're trying to capture, they're just going to fortify their defenses right there, completely neutralizing your attack before it even starts. But on the flip side, a hidden intention? That creates this dense fog of uncertainty, making you infinitely harder to counter. Visible actions just invite early, preemptive resistance from people who want to stop you. Hidden intentions, though, preserve your flexibility. You're basically creating a crucial strategic advantage window simply by managing what information the outside world actually gets to see. True power genuinely increases when your real objective is totally separated from your visible behavior. Which leads us right into Section 2, the psychology of misdirection. We need to understand exactly why the human brain is so wonderfully susceptible to this kind of strategic exploit. There is a fascinating psychological truth at play here. Humans desperately crave cognitive closure. We absolutely despise uncertainty. Because of that, our brains will rapidly and honestly often totally inaccurately try to model someone else's intentions just to grab a sense of control over a situation. We are constantly trying to anticipate the future. So control actually exists right there in that invisible gap between what you intend to do and what observers confidently think you're going to do based on the little crumbs of information they have. Now, this entire strategy works like magic because of three hardwired human instincts. First step is the prediction instinct. We try to model intentions super quickly just to reduce our own anxiety about the unknown. Second is preemptive resistance. The second we think we know a threat, we mobilize our resources against it immediately. And third, narrative assumption bias. People generally assume that whatever behavior they can clearly see right in front of them is the entire story. It's exactly like a stage magician, right? They give you this highly visible, incredibly plausible narrative with a flourishing wave of one hand, and your brain completely ignores the hidden mechanics happening quietly in the other hand. Strategists rely heavily on the fact that if you just hand people a believable story, they almost never dig for the hidden truth. So, how do we actually put this into practice? Let's move to Section 3, the two-layer execution system. When it comes down to execution, this operates in distinct layers. It always starts with your true goal, which you heavily protect. Then, you broadcast a masked behavior. This means giving off neutral, benign, or totally unrelated signals. You are deliberately feeding your observer a misinterpreted signal. Now, the real magic happens in Step 3, delayed discovery. By sending them down the completely wrong mental path, you delay their reaction time. You hold off their defensive maneuvers just long enough for you to lock in Step 4, your execution window. You only reveal your true goal when the execution is practically finished, and it is way too late for anyone to stop you. The whole shebang is all about buying uncontested time. And what's really amazing is how universally this applies across completely different battlegrounds. Take Wall Street trading, for example. Early exposure of a massive position guarantees the market is going to immediately trade against you and erase your margins. Or in chess, the game-winning strategy is prepared entirely out of sight, baiting the opponent into focusing on the completely wrong side of the board. Look at cybersecurity. Advanced persistent threats use stealth operations to navigate networks for months without triggering a single alarm. In every single one of these arenas, the victor isn't necessarily the person with the most brute force. The victor is simply the one who controls information exposure the longest.
But hey, let's flip the script for a minute. Section 4, defending against concealed intent. What if you were the one trying to defend against a master strategist?
To effectively defend against this, you have got to ruthlessly contrast words against actions. You really have to almost entirely ignore verbal narratives, press releases, explicit promises, all of it. Talk is incredibly cheap, and it's so easily manipulated. Instead, you need to relentlessly track behavioral consistency. Watch where a person or company is actually allocating their time, their focus, and their money. I mean, a competitor might publicly announce they're scaling down operations in a certain sector, right? But if they are quietly hiring 50 specialized engineers behind the scenes, well, their behavior is telling you the real story. Concealment always falls apart when structural, systemic behavior becomes just too consistent to misinterpret. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is recognizing when this law wildly backfires. Acting like a paranoid James Bond at the office water cooler? Yeah, that just increases everyone's cognitive load and destroys any chance of healthy cooperation. Over-concealment creates this intense, creeping distrust among your peers. Inconsistent, chaotic signals breed suspicion, and delayed clarity totally damages collaborative efforts where you actually need people to be on your side. Misdirection is a scalpel, you guys. It's not a sledgehammer. When it gets overused in mundane, everyday settings, it simply becomes self-defeating. You just end up looking untrustworthy instead of powerful. Which brings us perfectly to our final part, Section 5, Mastering Plausible Ambiguity. Let's move past that flawed, simplistic idea of just total secrecy. Modern behavioral science teaches us a brilliant extension to this rule. Hiding your words alone is vastly insufficient, mostly because your day-to-day actions are inevitably going to leak your true intent over time. Because of that, true power lies not in total silence, but in plausible ambiguity. What you want to do is offer multiple, equally logical storylines for your consistent behavior. If observers can look at your current actions and easily see 3 different, highly believable motives, you've successfully avoided handing them a single clear narrative to attack. This heavily reduces the efficiency of any counter-strategy, simply because they don't know which of the 3 narratives they should aggressively defend against. You completely divide their attention and their resources. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to challenge you to audit your own predictability. Take a step back and really ask yourself, are your daily habits and patterns secretly broadcasting your next strategic move? Have your observable actions already betrayed the very goals you thought you were so carefully hiding with your words? Think about it. Adjust your strategy, protect those intentions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.